Hi everyone, my name is Mark, and today we're going to take a look at another horrible case with you. Shanann Watts first met her future husband, Christopher Watts, in 2012. They were natives of North Carolina, with Shanann hailing from Aberdeen and Chris from Spring Lake. On November 3, 2012, they exchanged vows and officially became husband and wife. Not everyone was happy to see Shanann and Chris get married. Chris's parents, Cindy and Ronnie Watts, did not attend the wedding. Cindy later said she did not go because she and Shanann did not get along. She did not like the way Shanann treated her son. 1 year after their nuptials, Shanann and Chris made a significant life decision when they decided to purchase a new home together in the picturesque town of Frederick, Colorado. This move marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives as they embarked on a journey as husband and wife in their new home. After relocating to Colorado, Shanann and Chris Watts eagerly anticipated starting their family. On December 17, 2013, their dream became a reality with the birth of their daughter, Bella Marie. 2 years later, on July 17, 2015, the couple welcomed their second daughter, Celeste Catherine, lovingly referred to as Cece. Shanann was diagnosed with lupus at a young age. Lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease that affects various parts of the body. It's caused by the immune system mistakenly attacking healthy cells and tissues. In lupus, the immune system produces autoantibodies that target and destroy healthy cells by mistake, leading to inflammation and tissue damage. This diagnosis came with the unfortunate news that it could be challenging for her to conceive and have children. The news devastated Shanann, as she had always dreamt of becoming a mother. However, against all odds, Shanann experienced the incredible joy of becoming a mother not once, but twice. Everyone who knew Shanann described her as a ball of love and compassion. She seemed too good to be true, radiating kindness and positivity. Shanann possessed a strong drive and was determined to create the best life for herself and her family. Her vibrant personality and warm nature effortlessly captivated those around her. Every morning, Shanann would reach out to her friends with a heartfelt text message that read, "Good morning, beautiful." This simple gesture always left them feeling cherished and uplifted. However, as great as Shanann was as a friend, she was an even better mother. Her love for her two daughters, Bella and Cece, was immeasurable. Shanann cherished nothing in the world more than being a mother. She was dedicated and committed to nurturing and supporting her children in every way possible. Bella, Shanann and Chris's oldest daughter, was a nurturing little girl who loved taking care of her younger sister, Cece. From a young age, Bella demonstrated an innate desire to look out for her little sister. Cece, on the other hand, was known for her energetic and vibrant personality. Described as a firecracker, Cece effortlessly brought joy and laughter into everyone's lives. Social media played a significant role in Shannan's life. She utilized these platforms to share videos about her life and showcase her vibrant personality. Her friends and family enjoyed watching these videos, which provided a glimpse into her daily life and the lives of her daughters. In many of her videos, Shanann expressed her admiration for her husband, Chris. She once posted a video in which she stated, "Chris is the best thing that has ever happened to her." This declaration of love painted a picture of Chris as a devoted husband and caring father. While Shannan's friends and family admired her happy marriage, they also noticed that Chris kept to himself. They found it difficult to connect with him on a deeper level. Despite this, they all accepted Chris's presence, knowing that Shanann was completely head over heels in love with him. In June 2015, Shanann and Chris filed for bankruptcy. The couple faced significant financial challenges, including a large mortgage payment, car payments, loans, and medical bills. Additionally, they had accumulated a substantial amount of credit card debt. At the time of the bankruptcy filing, Chris was employed at Anadarko Petroleum, while Shanann was employed at a children's hospital call center. By 2016, Shanann had embarked on a new career as a consultant for an MLM company, Level. Her role involved selling a nutritional supplement called Thrive, which was delivered through a patch. Shannon's enthusiasm for her job was evident. Cynthia de Rosette, a coworker, said every person that connected with her felt her light. Although Shanann was content with her life with her husband and 2 daughters, she yearned for one more pregnancy. Her heart longed for a baby boy to complete their family. In spring 2018, Shanann received an unexpected yet delightful surprise when she discovered she was pregnant for the 3rd time. The news filled her with excitement and anticipation. Wanting to capture her husband's reaction, Shanann devised a plan. She decided to surprise Chris by telling him the exciting news on May 28th. As she awaited his arrival, Shanann dressed in a shirt that displayed the words, "Whoops, we did it again," a humorous play on Britney Spears' hit song, "Oops, I Did It Again." In the video, Chris can be seen entering the room, completely oblivious to the surprise awaiting him. He appeared shocked and caught off guard, and not necessarily happy. After further testing, Shanann discovered she was having a baby boy. Shanann and Chris were overwhelmed with joy. They decided to name their little bundle of joy Nico. When Bella and Cece, Shannon's daughters, heard the news that they were going to be big sisters, they were so excited. During the summer of 2018, pregnant with Nico, Shanann traveled to North Carolina to spend time with her family. Chris, on the other hand, stayed behind in Colorado for work. While in North Carolina, Shanann decided to take her daughters, Bella and Cece, to visit Chris's parents, Cindy and Ronnie. Despite not getting along with her in-laws, Shanann agreed to proceed with the trip for the sake of her daughters. On the day of the visit, Cindy prepared a snack for Cece, even though Shanann had told Cindy that Cece suffered from a nut allergy. However, despite this knowledge, Cindy served her granddaughter a snack that contained peanuts. This incident deeply troubled Shanann, as she felt that Cindy had put Cece's life at risk. In a text message to Chris, Shanann expressed her frustration and disappointment. She wrote, "You should call your dad and tell him you did not appreciate your mom putting your daughter at risk today. She's evil and willing to risk your daughter's life just to get under my skin. You and your dad are no different if you are okay with her behavior. There's nothing wrong with me and I'm not crazy. I just love my kids way too much." While Shanann was in North Carolina visiting family, she observed that Chris's communication with her had shifted strangely. Chris stopped responding to her messages and calls, leaving Shanann puzzled. When she inquired about the matter, Chris shared that he had taken on additional responsibilities at work due to the arrival of new employees. However, he insisted that the situation was not cause for concern. On July 31st, Chris flew from Colorado to North Carolina to spend the week with Shanann and their 2 daughters, Bella and Cece. The entire family was eagerly anticipating his arrival. As Chris stepped off the airplane, Bella and Cece rushed toward him, their excitement palpable. Chris scooped them up in his arms and embraced them tightly. However, his interaction with Shanann was noticeably different. Instead of greeting her with a kiss, he nodded in acknowledgement. Taken aback by Chris's behavior, Shanann felt deeply hurt. Unable to contain her emotions, she texted one of her friends, expressing her growing concern. Shanann confided that she felt as if Chris had somehow changed, and she barely recognized the person she had married. Her words were filled with a mixture of sadness and confusion. Shanann texted her friend, stating that Chris, her husband, refused to talk to her even though they were physically present in the same room. Instead of engaging in direct conversation, Shanann and Chris exchanged messages through their phones. She even shared a picture with her friend depicting her and Chris sitting on separate couches facing in opposite directions. In these text messages, Shanann expressed her concern that Chris might be seeing another woman, which shocked her friend. The friend adamantly denied this possibility. They reassured Shanann that Chris loved her too much to engage in such behavior. Shanann sent a text message to one friend and poured out her heart. She revealed that Chris had confessed to her that he no longer believed they were compatible. This revelation came as a shock to Shanann, who had always felt that their love was strong. To make matters worse, Chris had told Shanann that he had hoped that getting her pregnant would somehow change his feelings. However, this did not prove to be the case, and Shanann was heartbroken to hear this. She had always cherished their relationship and believed their love could withstand challenges. Determined to save her family, Shanann suggested to Chris that they attend couples counseling. She knew their relationship was in trouble and believed professional guidance could help them navigate their difficulties. However, Chris flatly refused. Shanann was willing to make compromises and do whatever it took to save their relationship. However, she quickly realized that Chris was unwilling to reciprocate. Despite her best efforts, Shanann realized that there was simply nothing Chris wanted or was willing to compromise on. After returning home to Colorado from a trip to North Carolina, Shanann, Chris, and their daughters settled back into their usual routine. However, Shannon's stay was not prolonged, as she soon found herself embarking on another journey to Arizona for a business trip. During her stay in Arizona, Shannon's friends noticed a shift in her demeanor. Instead of her usual cheerful disposition, she seemed confused and distressed. One evening, while staying in their hotel room, Shanann divulged her concerns to her friends. She revealed that Chris had expressed his doubts regarding their compatibility and refused to consider going to couples counseling. On August 11th, as Shanann was with her friends in Arizona, a notification appeared on her phone, indicating a charge for a restaurant that had been made on her and Chris's account. While this in itself was not unusual, the amount charged raised concern. Shanann couldn't help but wonder why the bill was so high, and she couldn't help but suspect Chris might be having dinner with another woman. This suspicion left her with a lingering feeling of unease and doubt. Around 1:48 a.m., Shanann returned home from her business trip. Shannon's close friend Nicole Atkinson drove her home. Footage from Shanann and Chris's doorbell camera showed Shanann entering her house. On August 13th, Shannon's friends woke up concerned about her because they hadn't received her usual good morning messages. They knew that she had an important appointment at the OB/GYN scheduled for 9:30 a.m., and they knew that Shanann would never miss that. However, when Shanann missed a business meeting at 12:30 p.m., Nicole Atkinson, one of her closest friends, became very concerned. Nicole knew something was wrong when no one had heard anything from Shanann all day. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was not right. Feeling a sense of urgency, Nicole made the decision to drive to Shannon's house. As she approached her house, her stomach sank. Shannon's van was parked in the garage, and the shoes she wore every day were by the front door. Nicole knocked on the front door of Shannon's house, hoping she would come out and explain that she had overslept and was tired from her flight the previous day. However, Shanann never responded. One of Shannon's friends contacted her husband, Chris, to inform him that they were unable to get in touch with her. Chris assured them not to worry, as he believed that Shanann might have taken their daughters to a friend's house. His response puzzled Shannon's friends, as they were all in contact with one another, and none of them knew her whereabouts. Shanann did not have any plans to meet with any of them. Eventually, Shannon's friends informed Chris that they were planning to notify the Frederick Police Department and report Shanann and the girls as missing. Although Chris stated he did not want to get the police involved, Nicole, worried about her friend, called 911 to report Shanann, Bella, and Cece missing. After Nicole called the police, an officer from the Frederick Police Department arrived at Shanann and Chris's house. From the officer's body cam footage, it was clear that Nicole was deeply distressed over her missing friend. As Nicole was explaining everything she knew about Shanann and her daughters, Chris pulled up to the house. Chris got out of his car and approached the officer, but it was clear he did not share the same level of concern as Nicole, even though his wife and daughters were missing. While searching Shanann and Chris's house, the officer stumbled upon Shannon's purse. Within this purse, the officer discovered Shannon's medication for her and her two daughters. The discovery of Shannon's purse further worried her friend Nicole, but Chris, Shannon's husband, remained calm as a cucumber. Additionally, the officer found Shannon's wedding band on the bedside table. The officer and Chris walked to a neighbor of Shannon's and Chris to review footage from their security camera. This camera was positioned in such a way that it captured part of Shanann and Chris's driveway and garage. In the footage, Chris is seen opening the garage door, moving around and leaving the home at 5:28 a.m. As they watched the footage on the TV screen, Chris's demeanor began to change. He started to appear nervous and fidgety, as if he didn't enjoy whatever he was seeing on the screen. Even Chris's neighbor picked up on his strange behavior. When Chris left the house, the neighbor leaned into the officer and expressed doubts about Chris's behavior. The neighbor mentioned that he didn't think that Chris was acting right. Shanann's friends were concerned about her well-being and wanted to initiate a search for Bella and Cece as soon as possible. However, Chris had a different opinion, discouraging them from joining the search. His response worried Shanann's friends, as they could not comprehend his lack of worry for his wife and daughters. Officers canvassed Shanann and Chris's neighborhood, going door to door to ask if anyone had seen Shanann or anything unusual. By the following day, the FBI and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation joined the search for Shanann, Bella, and Cece. The Boulder Police Department also provided cadaver dogs, which handlers used to search the property and inside the house. As the officers searched the inside of the home, one handler remarked that they smelled cleaning solutions and thought the house looked too clean. This comment raised suspicions and caused the officers to take a closer look at the cleanliness of the home. The presence of cleaning solutions suggested that someone had taken steps to conceal evidence or clean up any potential clues. During the process of searching Chris's house, he gave an interview to 2 Denver stations outside his residence. In this interview, Chris claimed that he and Shanann did not argue before her leaving. However, he mentioned that they had an emotional conversation. He said he wanted his family back and pleaded with whoever held Shanann, Bella, and Celeste to return them home. Chris emphasized his desire to see everyone again and that his house is not complete without his family. However, during the interview, Chris's behavior raised some eyebrows. He appeared cold and unemotional, which puzzled those who knew him. Shannan's friends who were watching the interview felt disgusted by Chris's nonchalant demeanor. They believed his behavior was strange and contradictory to his plea for his family's return. On August 14th, Special Agent Coder interviewed Chris. During the interview, Chris expressed his belief that Shanann might have taken the girls and gone to a friend's house to decompress. Throughout the interview, tips began pouring into the police station regarding potential sightings of Shanann and the girls. The police department received various pictures, and Chris was asked to identify any of the individuals as his missing wife and daughters. However, Chris was unable to provide any identification. Agent Coder asked Chris about his and Shannan's marriage during the interview. Chris responded by stating that he had never cheated on Shanann, and as far as he knew, Shanann had never cheated on him either. He said that he and Shanann were the type of people who would confide in one another if they ever felt like straying. During the interview, Agent Coder noticed a peculiar behavior from Chris. He observed that Chris made frequent hand movements towards his neck, which caught his attention. Agent Coder's suspicions grew, leading him to believe that the movements may hint at something deeper. At one point during the interview, Agent Coder excused himself briefly and informed the other officers working on the case that he thought Chris might have strangled Shanann. As more time passed with Shanann and her daughters missing, the feelings of worry and despair intensified among the loved ones who knew her. Despite their doubts that Shanann was safe, they desperately clung to the hope that Bella and Cece might still be alive somewhere. The absence of any updates or information from the authorities only heightened their anxiety and despair. Chris was released from the police department after a 3-hour interrogation. However, the police made arrangements for him to return on the following day, August 15th, for a polygraph test. Chris agreed to fulfill this request. On August 15th, Chris picked up his father from the airport and drove to the Frederick Police Department. Tammy Lee from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation conducted Chris's polygraph test. During the polygraph, Chris denied knowing where Shanann was and claimed to have not caused her disappearance. Chris would have needed a score of about -4 to pass this polygraph test. Chris scored a dismal -18 on the polygraph. This outcome left the detectives convinced that Chris was responsible for the deaths of his wife and daughters. However, they still needed to persuade him to admit it. The special agent, a highly skilled coder and polygrapher, Tammy Lee, confronted Chris regarding his failed polygraph results. He admitted that he did not physically harm Shanann, but acknowledged that he caused her emotional pain. Furthermore, he confessed to having an affair with a coworker named Nicole Kessinger. Chris expressed regret for his infidelity and stated that he had never anticipated engaging in such behavior. However, he denied any involvement in causing his family's disappearance. A little while into the interview, Chris requested the presence of his father, Ronnie. The officers were initially skeptical, fearing that allowing Ronnie into the interview room could lead to Chris seeking legal representation. However, they took a risk and allowed it anyway, hoping that his presence could get Chris to confess. In the interrogation room, Chris met with his father and admitted to murdering Shanann. However, he claimed that he did it only because she had hurt their daughters, Bella and Cece. Upon hearing this excuse, Shannon's friends knew he was lying. They knew that Shanann would never harm her daughters, as she loved them deeply and was looking forward to giving birth to her first son, Nico. Chris admitted to burying Shanann in a shallow grave at one of his work sites. He also said that he had disposed of the bodies of his daughters in oil tanks. However, even after being arrested and taken into custody, he continued to deny that he ever hurt them. The detectives did not believe for a moment that Shanann had hurt her daughters. Eventually, Chris pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty as punishment and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. At Chris's sentencing hearing, the judge made a bold statement regarding the heinous crime he had committed. Chris stated that this crime was by far the most inhumane and vicious one he had encountered out of the thousands of cases he had dealt with in his career. A few years later, Chris admitted to having murdered Shanann, his wife, in their bed. Chris stated that he had strangled her after she confronted him about an extramarital affair and threatened to take their daughters away. Then Chris put her body in his truck and drove it along with his two daughters to his work site. Once there, Chris claimed that he took the lives of his two young daughters one by one. This grim revelation revealed that one daughter had to witness the death of her sister before succumbing to the same fate.